Hi, my name is Melissa. My friends call me Mel, and I am a meditation maverick and breakthrough catalyst, which is basically just a fancy way of saying that I help people. I help people's lives get better. Okay, so in general, I work with two kinds of people. The first one is the disillusioned meditator, and unless you've been living under a rock for the past couple of years, you may have noticed how meditation has kind of become this global sweeping phenomenon. Okay, you have the world's most successful people doing it. They're doing it in schools and corporations. They're doing it in prisons, and it's the reason being is because it just works. You know, it is a totally profound practice to the extent where no one is asking, does meditation really work? The question they are asking now is, how can I get meditation to work for me? And that's kind of where I step in is, what you'll find is that people have maybe been using gadgets or apps or tools or whatever the case may be, or they've been meditating for a while and their practice gets kind of stagnant and they're not reaping the same profound impact that they once did. And that's where I help people figure out what the disconnect is in their practice so that they can become good meditators. And I think that that's very important. We need people who are good at. I know it's a very important kind of stress reducing tool, whatever the case may be, but really, if all that you're getting from your practice is a reduction in stress, then you are missing out on a great deal. You may not be interested in anything more than that, but a lot of people are. A lot of people have their practice and they still kind of feel like something's missing, and that's because it is. So I can give you an example. There was one woman I worked with. She was meditating for about 2 years, and she came to me and I said, tell me about your practice. Tell me, explain your process, explain what happens when you're practicing. Tell me about what meditation is for you and what it does in your life. And after a while, it was pretty clear what was wrong with her. And just as an aside, I call myself a maverick for a very specific person. For a very specific reason, and that's because a maverick is someone who doesn't necessarily follow conventional rules or does things in an orthodox way, but it does yield results. And I find this very important because a lot of people, what's happening now is a lot of people kind of understand meditation in a very traditional sense, and then they struggle to take the insights or the experiences that they experience in meditation and translate it into their day-to-day lives. And really, that's what I find the most important thing. It's not, you don't just want to be like peaceful and blissed out for 20 minutes a day and then you get off the mat and you go back to flipping people off in traffic. You want to have that expanded awareness that translates into every aspect of their day. And so going back to this woman, it was very clear that she'd kind of turned her meditation practice into another must-do, another discipline. And a lot of people hold this belief, and I think that it's total BS. I think meditation should be something that you are inspired towards doing. I feel like it's something you should do because you are totally in love with yourself, and it expands that beautiful relationship that you have with yourself. And so this woman had kind of made meditation an effort and a work, and there was a total disconnect. So we did some work, dug a little deeper, found out what the issue was, and I made a recommendation that she actually stop meditating. So I don't know how many meditation teachers will tell you that, but I said, you know what, I think you need to stop meditating for a while, and in its place, I'd like you to try this thing. So I gave her a process to try. And that night, she went from, being unable to sleep at night and having chronic migraines to that night, after she mastered the technique, she was about to pop her pill so that she could fall asleep and so that her migraine could go away. And she realized, oh my gosh, I don't have a headache today. And then she did the process again, and she was able to fall asleep within a couple minutes. And I found that incredible. And then she hasn't needed pills ever since then. And I found that incredible. Like, it opened her up completely. And then from there, I was able to say, okay, now let's establish your perfect practice in your own perfect way. And so that's really what I do with the disillusioned meditator, whether they are starting out new or whether they've been meditating for a while. If meditation doesn't feel good to you, even at the times when you're going through a challenge, if your practice isn't inspiring to you, then there's something wrong, and you probably need like a bit of help in that area. So that's the first type of person that I work with, the disillusioned meditator. Second type of person that I work with is the disenchanted purposepreneur. And the disenchanted purposepreneur is basically someone who, I have so much respect for this kind of person because they've taken the leap into, figuring out what their passions are, figuring out what their purpose is, whatever the case may be, and they've turned it into their life's work. Okay, so probably a business in some form, either as a company, corporation, or maybe as a solopreneur, whatever. And so they start the journey of building themselves up on this road, and they're living in purpose, and they're trying to impact the world and help people. Fantastic. But what happens with a lot of people is that they get so caught up in this thing of trying to help people and trying to serve people that they actually become disconnected from what they're meant to do. So essentially what they're doing is they are ticking off all these different ways to expand and to grow and to, I'm going to make webinars, or I'm going to make a YouTube channel, or I'm going to write a book so I can serve more people more powerfully, because that's what connecting with your purpose does. It's always something that you want to share. It's your purpose or whatever it is that you're doing. It's so big that it actually feels physically uncomfortable to not teach or to coach or to help people, whatever it is that you're doing. The problem is that when people have that awareness of what it is that they're supposed to be doing, then it becomes about, it's so easy to fall into that space of martyrdom. It's so easy to become disconnected from that energy, that space, whatever it is that you want to call it, that motivated you in the first place. And so what happens is, essentially what purposefulness do is that they swap one kind of hell for another. They swap, they move from the rat race to the personal growth, become a global epic speaker, coach, teacher, trainer, that kind of spiel. And they get caught up in all of that, not understanding that, there'll always be more to do. You think that the validation is going to come, or the peace is going to come when, okay, once I finally launch my own podcast, or once I finally been able to impact 1 million people, once I finally been able to, build a foundation. And while these are all really important and valid things, essentially none of them is going to bring you fulfillment. None of them is going to save you. And in fact, true fulfillment and true understanding and being able to serve from a powerful place comes when you recognize that nothing will save you. Nothing can. The only person who can save you is yourself. And essentially, you get to the point of understanding that actually I don't need saving. I show up every day and I help people and I serve people because that is who I am and that is what I do, and it's coded into every cell of my being. And when I coach someone, or I help someone, or I teach someone, or I help them set up their business or their platform or whatever, I'm not doing this because I'm a good person or because I'm trying to serve people, because I'm trying to help people. You're doing it because that's who you are, like viscerally, like every inch of your being, that's who you are. And when you're not expressing who you are, it hurts. And so that's when you go to that space of living in gratitude, because no matter who and how you're serving, you understand that you need them as much as they need you. You know what I mean? Or not need, but it's just you're connected, and that's when sayings like "we are one" start to take on a different meaning for you. You're not saying it because you read it in a book somewhere and you're waxing lyrical and it resonates with you on some level, but it's not necessarily that something that you're living. No, it's, you get to that point of understanding viscerally that just every breath and every opportunity and every little thing that you're doing, working with one person, is the ultimate blessing. Do you know what I mean? And that understanding is something that fills you up. It feeds you. It takes the urgency and desperation out of your work. So this, I have to start a YouTube channel by it. No, you have your goals, you have your visions, but you are working towards them from a space of total inspiration, and you're not beating yourself up about it. You're living in such a high level of integrity that when you're pushing too hard or pushing too much, and when you're chasing something because you're trying to get people to pat you on the back, and when you're doing something because it's the next step. There's a very big difference between getting certifications and going to coachings and going to and involving yourself in all these things from a space of insecurity versus from a space of curiosity, and just general expansion, because you're just living and you're just loving. And I feel like that's the space that you want to be coming from if you want to live a very fulfilling life. 18 months ago, I had a conversation with someone, and I said to them, you know what? I am just getting started. There's so much that I want to do. There's so many experiences that I want to have, both personally and professionally. But I realize now I'm so connected and so in my own personal integrity and so in my own personal forgiveness and expansion process that if I were to be struck down by lightning right now, I would have zero regrets. I would be so thankful for the life that I've lived up until this point. And every other experience that I just have or could potentially have is just frosting. You know what I mean? And that was a pretty profound, I know it sounds nice and maybe you can understand it cognitively, but living that viscerally it's quite a different experience, and it's incredible, and it's one that I wish for everyone, especially our purpose-based or purposepreneurs, because you are the guys who are going to be changing the world, you know, to whatever capacity suits you. And so it's so important that we not fall into martyrdom, and it's so important that we inspire people through the light that kind of naturally exudes from us, you know, being connected in that way. And that's something that I teach people through the breakthrough coaching, or I mean, obviously we use meditation. Guys, I'm going to teach you how to meditate. We use meditation, everything we do. It's very important. And I love it. But yeah, so that's basically me in a nutshell, what I do, and, you know, filling people up so that they can go out and kick ass in the world. And yeah, that's me. That's me in a nutshell, in 11 minutes. And so if you're this type of person, like, absolutely, I'm from Namibia. I don't know if you guys know where that is, but I have quite an interesting story, and there are very few people around me who live the same way that I do and have the same perspectives as I do. So if you're in Trudy's group, then I presume you're this type of person. And so if you'd love to connect, then please reach out to me on Facebook or whatever. I love sharing and meeting and connecting with people of similar minds. So yeah, that's me. And I hope you have a beautiful Monday, beautiful 2016, beautiful life. Okay, bye.